Hi again, everybody. It's your old pal, the history nerd. I'm back in the man cave, and in this video, we are going to unbox the Stetson Square palm leaf cowboy hat that a little elf in a brown uniform and a brown truck deposited ever so gently upon my doorstep today. So with that said, let's not waste any time and start the unboxing. Now, if you've watched any of the videos on my channel, you know I've got a lot of nice Stetson hats. And when you spend $200 or $300 on a Stetson hat, you take care of it. I basically wear mine to my office and to social occasions. But all of us need a beater hat, a hat that we can abuse at will. The kind of hat that when it's raining like hell outside, you don't mind wearing it. And in the dog days of summer, when it is hotter than a hooker's doorknob on nickel night, you just jam that hat on your head without a second thought and not a care in the world about getting sweat stains all over the brim and crown. Now, if that's the kind of hat you're looking for, I think the Stetson Square may be the hat for you. So here's the invoice. Don't want to give you all my address or anything. And here is our Stetson Square hat. Now, this hat is very affordable, like any beater hat should be. I paid 60 bucks for this hat on Amazon. And for your convenience, I have put a link to this hat on Amazon down in the description below. This hat may look different than usual Stetson straw hats because this hat is made from Mexican palm leaf. But that makes it very durable, very resilient, and basically waterproof. As I said, you can wear this hat when it's raining like hell. You can wear this hat to the lake. You can jump in the lake with this hat, and it is not going to mess it up. Now, the way they make Mexican palm leaf hats is pretty interesting. They harvest the leaves from the Mexican palm. They boil the leaves to remove the impurities and the dirt and the bugs and such. And then they cut the leaves into thin strips, which are then braided together into long ropes. They take those ropes and they coil them around and around and around and sew them together until they have a hat that looks like this. If you look at the top of the hat, you see what looks like a belly button? That's where the coil starts. You can see the end of the braid on the inside of the hat. And they say that it takes 250 to 300 feet of Mexican palm leaf to make a hat like this. So let's talk a little bit about the hat. The crown on this hat is 4.5 inches tall. It's got a 4-inch brim, and it's got what they call a whip-stitched leather hat band. If we flip the hat over on the inside and look at it, one side says Stetson on the sweatband. The other side says John B. Stetson Company. Now, usually that's followed by Made in the USA on the nicer Stetson hats, but this hat's not made in the USA. It is made in Mexico. And this hat band, if you feel it, it looks like leather, but it's not. This is fake leather. If you remember your grandfather's Naugahyde Lazy Boy recliner that he used to sit in the 1970s when he watched All in the Family reruns, I think that Naugahyde Lazy Boy and this hat band or this sweatband are made out of the same material. But again, that's why you don't care if you sweat in this hat, jump in the lake in this hat. You can do whatever in this hat, and it will not affect it. We can talk about the crease on this hat. It's not got the usual cattleman's crease or a teardrop crease. This crease was known in the 1970s as the RCA crease, which stood for Rodeo Cowboy Association, because bull riders like Freckles Brown, Larry Mahan. Freckles Brown was the mentor of Lane Frost. He wore this. Larry Mahan wore the RCA crease, and Jim Shoulders, another famous bull rider, wore the RCA crease. It became so common that instead of the RCA crease, they just call it the bull rider crease today. Now, this hat also has what I think is an unusual brim shape. It's got a square brim shape, and with the angled sides, this is called the WTP brim shape. That stands for the West Texas Punch. I don't know where that name comes from, but this brim shape is known as the West Texas Punch. I do not like this brim shape. I like my brims old school, rounded, not square. I don't like these angles. My wife calls a brim shape like this Dumbo ears, because when you put it on, she thinks it looks like you have Dumbo ears. But there is good news for me. These hats are incredibly easy to shape. You can use the steam method that all cowboy hats are put under. But if you don't have a steamer, or you don't want to hold this hat over the stove while you've got a pot of boiling water going, you can literally, the next time you take a bath, fill up the bathtub with very warm water. Because this hat is waterproof, you can take this hat and you can dunk it into the bathtub for a few seconds until it's very warm and very wet, and you can shape the hat. And when the hat dries, it will be in the new shape that you wanted. There are lots of YouTube videos about how to do that. This hat also has the vents on the side. I've said in several videos, you know, in the winter they tell you always wear a hat. That's because most of the heat leaves your body through your head. So if you wear a hat, you'll stay warm in the winter. Conversely, in the summer, you want the heat to escape from the top of your head. Well, if you have a hat on that doesn't have any kind of venting, the heat's just going to stay inside that hat. So this is a summertime hat. So it's got vents. Even though this hat is very durable and very resilient, it's really not that heavy. You know, most of the higher end Stetson hats are made from Shantung straw. And as I've said in my other videos, Shantung straw means those hats are made from paper, folks. Shantung straw is not straw. It was invented by the Chinese, then adopted by the Koreans, and then perfected by the Japanese. They would take paper, put it under great pressure so it would bind together, and then they cut it into strips and make hats out of it. So when you see a Shantung straw hat, that just means paper hat, but they call it Shantung straw because who in the blue hell wants to buy a paper hat? Now you try jumping in a lake and going swimming like I said you can do with this hat with a paper hat on, and see how long that paper hat lasts. So on first glance, I am pretty happy with this hat. It looks good, feels good. I'm going to change the brim shape, but look, for 60 bucks, folks, I will wear this hat all day, every day during the summer and not care how I abuse it. Now, I will try this hat on, as I've said lots of times. I can't see what I look like in this setup. So when I put this hat on, you will see how I look, but I won't. You get first glance. So if I look like a pluperfect idiot with this hat on my head, you will know well before I do. The Amazon reviews said this hat runs a little large to order a smaller size, but I decided to go ahead and order the 7 3/4 size that I normally wear, thinking I can just put a hat sizer inside if I need to. But let me try it on for you. You know, folks, let me tell you, they say this hat runs large. This probably fits better on first feel than any hat I've put on in a long time. It feels like it's already broken in. So I'm pretty happy with this $60 Stetson Square hat. On first glance, I recommend it. As I said, I've got a link to it on Amazon in the description below. So go check it out and see if it's the right hat for you. Now, let me say that if you enjoyed this video and want to see more videos like it, I sure would appreciate it if you'd give me the Fonzie thumb, hit subscribe, and then ring the bell so the next time I fire up the old YouTube camera, you will be the first one to know. I am told that if you do those 3 things for me, the algorithm gods will smile kindly upon me and History Nerds Man Cave will soar to the top of the YouTube popularity chart. Another thing you can do for me is comment below. I love interacting with you guys. As I've said, I don't want this to just be me talking to you. I want this to be a two-way conversation. So join the conversation and comment below. More often than not, I respond to the comments. So there you go, folks. That's the Stetson Square. I'm happy with it. At this point, I recommend it. You check it out and see if it's the right hat with you for you. I will close this video as I close all of my videos by encouraging all of you to be good, be well, be happy, and goodbye, my friends.